Cleveland Browns faithful, welcome back to the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. The NFL season is officially back, and I know you cannot wait for the Browns to kick off this Sunday at 4:25 against the Cowboys. In preparation for this game, I thought it was appropriate to dive deep into the game itself and to share my analysis and opinions on this Week 1 matchup. Welcome to the Pulse Preview. I'm absolutely ecstatic that the Cleveland Browns are back and playing in action this week. And if you are too, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe down below this video. Without further ado, let's get into this one. It's been a long 4 years since the Browns and the boys faced off. The most recent meeting, coming on October 4th of 2020, resulted in an absolute shootout where the Browns came away with a 49-38 victory. I will never forget the insane touchdown run that OBJ had in the clutch during that game.
Mayfield on a fake, flip to Beckham, and he gets away. Now Beckham has room to run. Odell Beckham cuts back. Odell Beckham Jr. all the way. Touchdown, Cleveland.
With that being said, the Browns and the Cowboys have only played each other 5 times this century, with Dallas winning 4 of those games. As far as the totality of the all-time series between these two franchises, the Browns lead there with an 18-14 record head-to-head all-time. Now, let's dive into this week's matchup in 2024. For me, there are a couple of key points that should be talked about leading up to this game. Number 1, the Browns' offensive line continuity in an all-encompassing manner. The run block, the pass block, the positional, the overall readiness of the offensive line for the Cleveland Browns, key number 1 for me. Key number 2, something to watch, Dak and CD's level of readiness as a unit. This could be something to follow with CD being out for much of the preseason with contract negotiations, or they could start off on the right foot. They could just have the chemistry that they've always had and come out of the gates hot week 1. And number 3 is going to be something that everyone is going to be talking about this week leading up to the game, and that's DeShaun Watson and his play. Let's start with number 1. The offensive line for the Browns has had a treacherous preseason, specifically with injuries and the overall vision for what the line should be headed into the season. I think some key things to think about here is the departure of Bill Callahan to go coach with his son, a staple of the offensive line and the offensive line coaching staff throughout the years, somebody who has been credited with a lot of the positives that have come with this offensive line since 2020 and since Kevin Stefanski took over. Point number 2, is Jedrick Wills good enough? He might not even be playing. I'm not even certain he's practicing. I think this is a broader point for the season. Is Wills going to be healthy? Is he going to be good enough? What is the status here at your tackle positions moving forward? And that leads into the last point there. Will you see people being played out of position this Sunday? I think it's a decent possibility. I'm not saying that they can't get the job done. I'm just saying you have to look at this offensive line as the engine for the offense. You don't have Nick Chubb to rely on. You're not certain how good DeShaun Watson is going to be. You have high expectations for him, but if he's back there scrambling, if he's back there without a good pocket presence, it's going to show on this offensive line in a big, big way. Key number 2, CD being out for the majority of the preseason while waiting for a new deal could affect the offensive continuity for Dallas. How many reps have CD and Dak missed out on compared to previous off seasons is a question that you have to ask. Will the Dallas running back room be good enough to keep the Browns defense honest is another question. And can the Cowboys protect Dak from the reigning defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett? All storylines to follow, all questions to be had. I think they're going to have a hard time running the football. Their running back room is not great. It's not what it once was. I'm not sure that Dak and CD will have too many issues outside of maybe the first couple possessions. I think they'll find their footing. I think that CD Lamb is the player to watch for on the offensive side of the football for the Dallas Cowboys, and I expect Myles Garrett to eat and to get home in this game. I'm expecting at least 1.5 sacks from him, if not more. I hope he gets to that 2-sack mark in the stat sheet. Last but not least, DeShaun Watson being the third key. Does he have the potential for this to happen every game where we're always talking about him? What is DeShaun going to do? How's Watson going to play? Yes, but it could be for both good and bad reasons. If he returns to form, this is something that we could see being, hey, the Cleveland Browns have been elevated. We have the edge against other teams right now in week 1. I give the quarterback edge to the Dallas Cowboys. I think Dak is more proven, specifically in the recent past. And I think that he's somebody who is, always floating around in the NFC as one of the better quarterbacks. So does Deshaun Watson have a lot to face up against week 1? Absolutely. It's not an impossible task, though. It's not like we're facing a Mahomes week 1. It's not like we're facing a Lamar Jackson week 1, in my opinion. Furthermore, this week 1 matchup could be extremely telling to the overall identity of this Cleveland Browns offense, specifically without Nick Chubb for the first half of this year at the very least. What is Stefanski going to do with the play calling sheet? Is it going to be rely on Ford like he basically is Nick Chubb back there? Is it going to be more passes, first down passes, passes in short situations? Is it going to be letting DeShaun Watson kind of, have a lot of decision making back there, let him kind of call the plays and have him be off script and be effective outside of the pocket? I can't wait to see what the offensive identity looks like for our Cleveland Browns. Moving on to the game prediction. This week 1 matchup has a lot of elements that could turn it into a great way to kick off the season with some competitive, hard-nosed football that also incorporates strategy and nuance and analytics. Well, I think the Cowboys have a slight edge offensively, and I say slight because I'm not sure it's huge. I believe that the Browns definitely have the defensive edge, even with some turnover on that side of the football, specifically in the linebacker room. We're going to have to monitor how they adjust throughout the game and how they play, obviously led by Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, but we're going to have to see how that unit plays as a room together. I am absolutely thrilled that this game is at the Cleveland Browns Stadium this week, and that weighs a lot in my game prediction decision making. Lastly, I do not believe we'll see the same high-scoring output that we did see in 2020. Give me the Browns by a final score of 24-20. With that all being said, guys, like I said, I really appreciate you watching this video. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you're subscribed down below. And make sure you're sharing the Cleveland Pulse content with some of your friends and family. Make sure you get the word out that, hey, we're going to be having a prediction video, a preview, a Pulse preview every week, leading up to the Browns kicking off. So, like I said, appreciate you being here. We'll see you in the next one.